All right, so best of 2019 RODI systems. I gotta tell you, this is a little bit of a shameless plug because we only sell BRS RODI systems here, but we sell a whole variety of systems.
Right.
But one of the things I think you're gonna see today is the immense value that comes when you get the person that's importing all of the stuff here, building them themselves and selling them direct. You start to see what the differences are, and it's really a value that's almost impossible for anyone to beat because we're selling so many of these things.
Yeah, so today we're going to see the top 5 reasons why it's difficult to compete with us, the BRS systems. And then we're going to pick 4 clear winners of the most popular, the most affordable option that gets the job done, the least techiest option, so the best one that's not as super techy, and then we're going to find the best option for those hard, water type situations with oddball contaminants, super high TDS, and a bunch of other factors.
Okay, in spirit of that shameless plug, best of 2019 does mean that we need to actually say why these things are better than some of the other options out there. And I'm just gonna start with the filters. Beyond the fact that this thing is just a bunch of plastic fittings and tubing and screws, it's the filters inside that are doing all the work. And so, when you look at them, there's often like no-name brand filters in most of our competitors. In this case, we're using GE-made sediment filters. Those filters actually made over in the Minneapolis area here in the United States. Those are true depth sediment filters. You'll know at the moment you touch them, they just have a true graded density. You can see it on the side, capture particles all the way through the entire thickness, and they're just the best on the market. Same thing with the carbon blocks. You can hold it up and you can look through it, and there's a tiny little pencil hole because there's so much carbon in the carbon block.
Right.
You can see it with the naked eye, right?
Yeah.
Most of them have a big quarter-size hole in it.
Oh yeah. And then we have the Dow FilmTech membranes, so the RO membranes themselves. So some of the top of the line in the water industry RO membranes.
So Dow, whether you know it or not, makes most of the membranes for most of the other companies out there, and you just stick another sticker on it. And so one of the other things here, because we're using Dow membranes, we're also using Dow's stated specs, right?
Yeah.
And so a 75-gallon per day membrane does 75 gallons. It doesn't do 90 if you crank up the pressure beyond where most people would ever have it, right?
Yeah.
So it's honest assessment of performance. It's Dow specs. So we're using GE, Dow. We're also using DI resin here. We're telling you what it is, what the purpose of it. It's a mixed bed resin. It's an anion resin. It's cation resin. There's like no mystery names or marketing.
Super duper deluxe. Yeah.
Silica Fighter or whatnot. No, Silica Fighter is a specific type of resin, and we sell that resin, and it's incorporated into the mix of what we do here. So all of it is transparent, and we're just using the best filters out there.
All right, so top 5 reason number 2 why it's hard to compete with us. This is what I loved when I first got my RODI unit, is it comes with everything I need in a pouch to connect it to my water source. So whether I'm connecting it to a garden hose or a utility sink or my kitchen faucet or even underneath my kitchen faucet, in almost all cases, every single connection that you need to get this thing hooked up is included, and that's just automatic. Like, we don't want you to buy something else or have to get a package or a kit to hook this thing up, or go to the hardware store. If you've never really done some plumbing before and you go into the hardware store and you see the wall of all the plumbing parts, I have no idea what to pick. I like that everything comes with.
Yeah, and so that's because actually the first one that I bought, it didn't come with those fittings, so I had to go to the hardware store. They actually didn't have what I wanted, so I had to go back to the place, order it, and get it a week from now as it came in the mail. So what we do is we put all of the fittings in there again, one that screws on your faucet, one that goes underneath your sink. We have they go into the drain. We have all the different fittings that cover 99 probably, or 95 at least % of all of the solutions you would need to make this, when it open up the box, it will work for you, right? And so one of those things that we don't charge you extra for that. There's extra fittings in case you move and you got a different water. Nobody's charging you any extra for it, and it's just all included.
So speaking of fittings, there's the double O-ring Murlock fittings for all of the water connections in here, and the biggest purpose for that is so I don't get water on my floor. And I've done that many different other ways, be it by water changes or the other things. So not worrying about my RODI unit, leaking water on my floor is just one less thing I have to worry about.
That's one of those things that almost nobody would ever know that we did, right? They cost like $1 a piece, whereas the cheap imports are like 10, 15 cents, and Almost nobody would ever know that we did that. But for us, I don't want these things to leak on anybody. Most specifically, not right out of the box. I don't want to leak in 10 years from now either. And what they really do is protect is when the tubes get bent. Like you pull on it, the cheaper ones will start to leak out the side. When you pull on a Murloc fitting, it does not do that. So yeah, better fittings. You know, you might not even know that you're getting that value, but it's already there.
Number 4 out of 5 top reasons why it's hard to compete with us is our guys in the back making these things. So everything is assembled here, put together here, we ship from here, and we also ship free.
Yeah, so all of these have shipping built into them. A lot of our competitors, you add 30, 40 bucks in shipping. And like when I say 30, 40 bucks, like we went and checked. I couldn't believe it.
We did.
That's an enormous amount of money to add to shipping and the cost of it. So they all ship for free. We build them here. We have our own standards. Like I want to make sure that everybody's doing it the right way every single time.
So last but definitely not least is the service that we back these with. Between the videos, the multiples of videos that you've done, that I've done a few of, the customer service team taking your calls, the lifetime warranty, and you know, if something goes wrong, I've answered that phone call a bunch of times. Something's wrong with my RO unit. Well, we're sorry about that. We're gonna fix it.
Yeah, that's it, man. Like I think that we have produced probably something in the magnitude of like 50 plus videos in RODI to, you know, manage your performance on it, get the best value out of it you can. And like I said, like lifetime warranty on the whole thing. So you call up here and the people on the phones have been instructed, help at all costs. That is a bit of a shameless plug here, but I guess I'm just gonna challenge anybody to come out with a system that is cheaper, has better filters, comes with more connections, has better service. I just don't think any of that stuff exists out there. This is the best value of 2019. And I'm gonna roll right into then what is the most popular unit of all that we sell here, and it's this guy right here, the 4-stage value system. And right behind it was the Value Plus, which comes with the little pressure gauge and the flush kit and the TDS meter.
Yeah, so for this one, it's a 75 gallon per day membrane, and we looked at what you guys were buying and what the majority of people were buying for like the past year and so, and at the top of the list, the 4-stage value. So it gets the job done in most cases, and it is a really good value plus free shipping.
It is the cheapest way to make zero TDS RODI water of any of the systems we offer. So I'm not surprised that it is the most popular option out there. So it will definitely produce zero TDS water for your reef tank. There's only some of the most obscure challenges out there where it could be a little bit better, and we're going to cover those in just a minute. But like for a vast majority of reefers, this is it. And you know, you can upgrade it at a later date at any time. So you want to add another carbon block, you add another DI system, you just add it on there. So you're not locked into this guy forever. It's a system that you can build upon, and you know, obviously why it's the most popular.
So up next is the most affordable for 2019.
So not surprisingly, what's the most affordable one?
The one we just talked about, the 4-stage value here, in which case it's not more affordable because we are, you know, skimping on some parts and pieces and grade and quality of the filters. Everything we talked about in the top 5 is in this system. You just get it at the lowest cost in its class. So, and like you said, it's also upgradable.
All right, best of 2019 non-techie RODI system. I mean, non-techie might be like a strange word to talk about it, but like if you really start diving into RODIs, you know, there's like chloramines and chlorine and silica and like all kinds of like strange different things in your water, and you're just really not sure like what you're supposed to do. If you get too far into it, you start wondering, am I part of the 5% out there or not? You probably aren't, because 95% of you are just fine. But there's better ways to deal with things, and there's like a good enough, and then there's a better. And this is definitely inside the better. And the only difference between this guy and this one and the 4 and 5 stage is 2 carbon blocks.
Yeah, and more and more that we were finding over the years that cities are treating with chloramines, in which case it's the dual carbon block system that really does the trick here.
I'm not going to bore you to death with chloramine chatter, but it's basically chlorine mixed with ammonia. It's super stable, super hard to remove. And so you have 1 carbon block, removes most of it. Second carbon block removes the rest. and they're specialized carbon blocks. We got a video actually that's going to come out here in probably just a few weeks that shows exactly how long a normal standard carbon block in the universe lasts on chloramines. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be less than 100 gallons, where these guys are going to be into the 1,000 plus. So like, it's a way more economical option to get the right tool for the right job. And so when you get the two carbon blocks here, we call them universal carbon blocks in that non-techie kind of frame of mind, because most of you don't know if your city uses chlorine or chloramines. You got to call your city up and ask them, or get a test kit or whatnot. You just don't want to know. And they change too. Like some of them change during the seasons because the chloramines get longer down there and they have dirtier water in different parts of the season, so they change it. And some of them will just change over because it's, I'm going to bore you again with these trihalomethanes and disinfection byproducts. The EPA is lowering the standards every year for these things, and so it is harder and harder for the cities to meet them. And with chloramines, it's just way easier, so they're changing all the time. You'll never know who it is. I think it's probably up to 50% of the water supplies that are out there using that. So if you're using two carbon blocks, you can just skip all of that nonsense, skip all that techie jargon that I just bored you with, and just know you're covered in both instances. And that's why I believe the 5-stage RODI system should probably be the most popular, because most people don't know what's in their water. This will cover it. This will just do it better and more redundantly.
So we're talking non-techie version, which some people see on the 5-stage Premium Plus that we have here. Some people see the pressure gauge. Some people see the TDS meter and might think, well, that's pretty techie. Well, no, actually, it's included so that we know that it's running efficiently and that we know that you have a peace of mind that it's doing the job that it's supposed to. In which case, the pressure gauge, just lets you know, that you have proper pressure going through it. And if you your filters, like your sediment filters, start to time to change them out, you get a monitor with you get something to monitor it with. Same thing with your TDS meter. You get to monitor the quality of water you're making and that your unit is running efficiently and effectively.
It shows you rate 0 TDS water coming out. If it isn't, you should troubleshoot it and find out. And in this case, again, what you should really do is just call up here. They'll tell you right away. Or watch one of our videos. There's like 5 reasons why that might be, and you'll definitely be one of those things. So in the pressure gauge, it should just be over 50 PSI for optimal performance. And without the pressure gauge, you just don't know. Yeah. Most of you will probably be over that. Some of you won't. I know at my house I got a well, so I had to go turn up the pressure on my well. But not a big deal. But yeah, this is the best non-techie option, gives you information you need to know, and it also just takes all that chloramine nonsense out of the equation. You don't have to worry about that anymore. All right, so best of 2019 challenging water, and I guess I'm gonna even just say like best of show. Like
Sure.
If you have like infinite dollars and you just wanna know you got the best, this is it.
I mean, this covers you for a wide variety of special, water conditions. Not necessarily every water condition is going to be the same, but if you don't know and you don't want to do the research, or you just don't know what you're looking for, this is an option that just cuts all that out.
So this guy right here is a 3-stage RODI. Again, it's or 3-stage DI rather. And it is a little reef nerdy. You should go watch all of our videos if you really want to know about it. But in the end, it is the most efficient because it has 3 specialized resins in there, a mixed bed cation and an anion, all in series. And it allows you to deplete them fully, and you can get 2 to 3 times as much use out of them. They're just way more efficient. Yeah. Also, it optimizes the pH in each one of these things. So if you have some like really weird contaminant like ammonia gas or like super high pH and silica like we do here in Minneapolis, it will solve all of those things for you. So if you're like one of those really oddball people that has super oddball water, it will solve all of your problems and be the most efficient. And when I say oddball, I gotta tell you that I am the oddball in both cases. So in Minneapolis, we have super high pH water, we have tons of silica, we have ammonia gas because of the high pH as well. And then at my house, I have 550 TDS water, which means that it's probably gonna come out of there at like 15 TDS, even out of the RO system. And I'm just gonna burn through resin. So getting 2 to 3 times efficiency out of my resin also means that this system is gonna pay for itself like probably in the first year, definitely 2. So best in class, best in show, best if you have super challenging water or want the most efficient system out there. It does cost a little bit more, but I think it pays for, get what you pay for.
Yeah. So now our desired improvements for 2020, what we'd like to see, and starting first with higher capacity membranes. Right now we have units that go up to 200 gallons per day, but around the office we are testing with 500 gallons per day, so large volume systems.
Yeah, so we got 500 gallon per day high efficiency systems. It's funny to hear actually us talk about what we'd like to see for 2019, so we're challenging ourselves. And this one's kind of been hanging out there because we're not really sure if everybody wants a 500 gallon per day system. It's going to require probably a booster pump to get that kind of flow out of it, or even a high velocity flow pump on it. So, but like we'd like to get the end of that testing out there because I think some people would like almost on-demand water at 500 gallons per day. So. Also, in relation to that, is big 4-inch round chloramine filters.
Big giant
the
guys.
chloramine filters, you go through them way faster than you do a standard filter once you realize you have chloramines. And like if you can get a big stubby guy that's 4.5 inches by 10, it's like having 4 normal sized carbon blocks, last way longer.
Ooh.
I think some people out there would like that. They'll probably be pretty expensive, but you don't have to change out the filters very often.
Yeah.
And there's even like big ones, 20 by 4, which is like 8 carbon blocks in one, but you just know you're covered. So we're going to explore those. If you're interested, let us know, and we can get it prioritized, I guess.
Well, speaking of carbon blocks too, a way to test my carbon blocks too. So like an access port to my carbon block, where all I have to do is turn a valve, and now I can run a strip or run a chloramine test on them, and close it back up.
So most people are good just kind of changing them out every 6 to 12 months, depending on how much you use.
Buy a filter kit.
You know, for those of you guys that like are reef nerdy enough, you really want to know for sure when your carbon block's depleted, either because you want to change it on time or because you want to get maximum use and lifespan out of it, one or the other. You know, right now I say the best way to do is just test the wastewater that's coming out of your membrane, because that's water that's gone through your carbon blocks but not through the membrane. But even better would be like a little port that comes off going into it, and you just pour it off like a 3-way ball valve. Pour it off a little for testing, put your little chlorine test strip in it, and you know for sure. So that'd be fun to see on some new systems.
The next one for me specifically, I know I'm going to need this one, and it's been pretty much the same in every place I've lived the last few years, is low water pressure in my house, in which case if I had a unit that just already was an option, booster pump included and the auto flush already included, I know I'm going to have to buy a booster pump. And in most cases, I kind of want a booster pump so I can optimize my own performance, find that balance between pressure and, my rejection rates and things like that. So I just want a booster pump.
Yeah, so booster pumps will increase the performance on almost every system, regardless of almost what your pressure is, like all the way up. I think we rate them up to like 90 PSI is the best. So it would be nice actually if we had one that was mounted into the bracket, had the auto flush already installed. Right now you just kind of screw it to the wall right next to it, right? No big deal, but at the same time, I'm going to challenge the team here to get a configuration where it's already installed. So like, in all the other 2019s, we challenged all of those other manufacturers out there. So like, I really hope that we can come back in 2020 and say like we did at least 2 of these, otherwise we'll look silly. But yeah, so if you want to see any of the videos, again, we got like 50 videos in RODI. I don't think that anybody has covered RODI like we have, especially on YouTube. So you can check them out actually on our website. So if you go to the RODI category on the website, there's a little video tab right in there. You can see all of these videos as well as what's best of 2019. There's also a little hot link right here, so go check it out.